twice in a row for me now. I pasted the wrong thing into the wrong thing. I'm just let people know in the chat. Oops, I accidentally um set it. Okay, there. Sorry about that. All right, so we'll do the Mangalacharan then. Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Ajanulambita Bhujao Kanakavadato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Vishvambaro Dijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Namastrikala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya Cha Sabhrityaya Saputraya Sakalatraya Te Namaha. Jai 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 Vishwambara Dvijaraj Jaya Vishwambara Priya Vaishnava Samaj Gaura Chandra Jai Dharma Setu Mahadhir Jaya Sankirtana Moy Sundara Sharir Jaya Nityanander Bandhava Dhana Pran Jaya Gadadhar Advaitera Prema Dham Jai Shri Jagarananda Priya Atishoy Jai Vakreshwar Kashishwarer Hriday Jai Jai Shivasadi Priya Varganath Jiva Pratikoro Prabhu Shubha Drishtipat Madhya-khaṇḍa Katha Jeno Amriter Khanda Je Katha Shunile Ghuche Antar Pashanda. The topics of Madhya-khaṇḍa are just like drops of nectar. Atheism will be vanquished from the heart of anyone who hears these narrations. Sorry. Madhya-khaṇḍa Katha Bhai Shuno Ekachite Sankirtana Aramba Hoilo Jeno Mate. Oh, dear brothers, please hear attentively the topics of Madhya-khaṇḍa, wherein the inauguration of the Sankirtan pastimes is described. Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya devi tvam nayamam charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshai Shiptashtakama Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Krinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Vajashi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It seems to be working, Raseshwari Mataji. I think it might be something with your sound. Because I'm just okay. Now we're moving on to now glorification of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ore mura loko shuno Chaitanya Mangal. Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Vishakal. Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas. Chaitanya Lila Vyas Vrindavana Das. Vrindavana Dasa Koilo Chaitanya Mangal. Jahara Shravane Nashi Sarvaya Mangal. Chaitanya Nitāi Jate Jani Mahima. Jate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Sima. O Bhagavate Jato Bhakti Siddhanter Sar. Likhiya chen iha jani koriya udhar. Chaitanya Mangala Shune Jadi Pashandi Javan. Sheho Maha Vaishnava Hoy Totokon. Manushe Rachite Nare Aiche Granta Dhanya. Vrindavana Dasa Mukhe Vakta Shri Chaitanya. Vrindavana Dasa Pade Koti Namaskar. Aiche Granta Korite Ho Tarila Sangsar. Narayani Chaitanya Uchishta Bhajan. Tar Garbe Janmila Shri Dasa Vrindavan. तार की अद्भुत चैतन्य चरितवर्णन जहाँ श्रवण शुद्ध कोइल त्रिभुवन सहज विचित्र मधुर चैतन्य विहार वृंदावन दास मुखे अमृते धार वृंदावन दास मुखे अमृते धार. By nature, all the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet. And when they're described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai. Jai Shri, the Gaudiya Bhashya of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Hari Bol, everybody. Dandavat Pranams. Satya Mataji, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, Champak Mataji, Emily Russell, and Krishna Mai Didi. And let's see on YouTube and Facebook, I see Ganga Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, and a couple others. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Hari Bol. Okay, so we are beginning a very special section of Chaitanya, well, special chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat, the deliverance of Jagāi and Mādhāi. We'll be reading this over the next, how many days? Think over the next 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. It's 30,000 words. A bit over 30,000 words, actually. But where is it? We're in chapter, no, we finished chapter 12 yesterday. I think we're in chapter 13. Sorry, I just have to open the file. Where is it? Projects, Chaitanya Bhagavat, chapter 13. Just it's so wonderful that we have this Mangala Charan. Yeah, I really like the glories of that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. I think it puts us in the right mindset when we start. Okay. Okay, so chapter 13, the deliverance of Jagāi and Mādhāi. The past 3 days, we've just been reading, pretty much just been reading the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. And that's been the topic for, we read 3 chapters of Vrindavan Das Thakur glorifying Nityananda Prabhu. And this is also more glories of Nityananda Prabhu. That's something I love about Chaitanya Bhagavat, is how much there is about Nityananda Prabhu throughout. It's that hot pink color again. I need to change that. Sorry, guys. Then we're going to be looking at this over the next few days. So what color should I make it? How about dark orange? No, that's like brown. Anyways, that will work. Dark blue. Dark green. Let's do dark green. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm wasting time. Okay. So, the deliverance of Jagāi and Mādhāi. This is a chapter summary written by Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj when he was a brahmachari. This chapter describes how Mahaprabhu spread the glorification, worship, and teachings of Krishna to each and every house through Nityānanda and Haridāsa. Their preaching to Jagāi and Mādhāi, Mādhāi's attack on Nityānanda, Mahaprabhu's arrival at that spot, and his invoking the Sudarshan Chakra, the two brothers surrender at the lotus feet of Gaur Nityananda's forgiveness and deliverance of Jagāi and Mādhāi, the demigod's service to Gaur, and the consequences of committing Vaishnav aparad. Okay, so now here's a more detailed synopsis. Since the pastimes of Sri Gaurasundar are perceived through the eyes of love, ordinary people who were devoid of such love considered him simply as Nimai Pandit. Only fortunate souls saw his manifestations according to their respective qualifications. One day, Mahaprabhu instructed Nityānanda and Haridāsa to go door to door and beg everyone to worship Krishna, chant Krishna's names, and practice Krishna's teachings at the end of the day to inform him of the results. Although everyone there at first laughed on hearing what they were to beg, Nityānanda and Haridāsa took the instruction on their heads and began to beg such alms from door to door. When householders respectfully invited the two sannyasis to accept alms, the two would, according to Mahaprabhu's instructions, beg them to chant Krishna's names, worship Krishna, and practice Krishna's teachings, and then they would leave. Although pious people were happy to see their wonderful method of begging alms and promised to follow their request, some people blasphemed Lord Chaitanya and considered the two to be madmen. Some people who were unable to enter Srivasa's house during kirtan violently attacked the two and threatened them with royal punishment. But being empowered by Śrī Caitanya, Nityānanda and Haridāsa did not pay the least attention to them. In other words, they fearlessly went on with their activities. One day, the two Prabhus saw the most sinful drunkards, Jagāi and Mādhāi. On seeing their pathetic condition, the hearts of Nityānanda and Haridāsa, the most merciful deliverers of fallen souls, they began to cry. Considering the two brothers as brilliant examples for Mahaprabhu's pastime of delivering fallen souls, they resolved to inform them of Mahaprabhu's most auspicious instructions, despite the potential dangers in doing so. Thus, they loudly requested them to worship Krishna. In spite of committing numerous sinful activities, Jagāi and Mādhāi never had the opportunity of accumulating Vaishnav aparad. So as a result, their good fortune for achieving the mercy of Gaur Nityananda was awakened. Blasphemy of Vaishnavas is a grave offense. It checks all piety and results in all degradation. Actually, we're going to be reading about that part tomorrow. So I'll continue with the summary tomorrow. All right. So let's go to verse 1. Wow, you can tell this is a special chapter coming up because usually in the beginning of chapters, he doesn't start with a whole Sanskrit verse like this Sanskrit Mangalacharan, but this time he is. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadato sankirtanaika pitaro kamalayataksho vishwambaro dijavaro yugadharma palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. whose arms extend down to their knees, who have golden yellow complexions, and who inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower. They are the maintainers of the living entities, the best of the Brahmanas, the protectors of religious principles for this age, the benefactors of the universe, and the most merciful of all incarnations. I wonder where Nri Hari Prabhu and Bhavatarani Mataji are. Anyhow, hopefully they'll be able to join later on. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Shri Gaur Sundar Jaya Nityananda Sarva Seva Kalevar. All glories to Mahaprabhu Shri Gaur Sundar. All glories to Nityananda, whose body is the object of everyone's worship. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Sarva Sevya Kalevar is described as follows. Sriman Nityananda Prabhu is Swayam Prakash, or the personal manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the worshipable Lord of everyone, both individually and collectively. 1 second. From him, Karna Dakshai Mahavishnu, who is the cause of all causes, Garbhadakshai Vishnu, who is the supersoul of the collective living entities, and Aniruddha, the localized Vishnu, are all manifest. The supreme worshipable Lord of all, Kṛṣṇa, accepts the service of Nityananda, who is the embodiment of all service. Nityananda is served by all objects emanating from all of Krishna's energies. Nityananda is served by all objects emanating from all of Krishna's energies. Okay. He namate navadvipe Prabhu Vishwambar Krida kore nahi sarva nayana gochar. In this way, Lord Vishwambar performed pastimes in Navadvip that were not seen by everyone. Gaudiya Bhashya. The pastimes of Śrī Gaurasundar are perceived only through eyes of love. Therefore, wherever there is an absence of love, the Lord's pastimes remain unseen. The Brahma Samhita 538. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yang Shyama Sundarama Chinta Guna Sarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotees whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyam Sundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. Loke dekhe purve jeno nimai pandita, atirikta ar kichu na dekhe charita. Ordinary people saw him like before, simply as Nimai Pandit. They could not see anything of his characteristics beyond this. Jokono pravishta hoy, sevaker mele, tokon bhashin she mata kutukale. When the Lord entered into the association of his servants, he floated in happiness. Jar jeno bhagyateno tahare dekhai, bahira hoile shab apana lukai. The Lord would reveal himself to each devotee in proportion to the devotee's good fortune. When he left their association, he would conceal himself. Gaudiya Bhashya. Since the Absolute Truth is omnipotent, The living entities, or fragmental spiritual parts and parcels, see the Lord according to their respective devotional qualification. There is no possibility of seeing the personification of all love through vision that is based on external knowledge. Rather, he remains hidden. That is why he is known as Adhokshaj, or he who is beyond the perception of material senses. Ekadina achambite hoilo heno mati, agya koilo Nityānanda Haridāsa prati. One day, the Lord suddenly ordered Nityānanda and Haridāsa as follows. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those who are able to become a Kinchana are not greedy for any material object. Without becoming a Kinchana, the necessity of the absolute truth is not realized. Such persons are attracted by the opulence of perishable objects. Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu appeared in a Brahmin family that engaged in study of the scriptures. In the worldly identification of Thakur Haridas, there were no such Brahminical birth, nor such Brahminical activities. He's born in a Muslim family. During Śrī Caitanya-dev's manifested pastimes, sinful persons like the Shakas, the Greeks, the Yavan and the Yavanas lived in various parts of India. That's interesting. The Greeks lived in India. Since Navadvip was the residence of many classes of foreigners coming from beyond the Sindhu River, there was a great deal of discrimination amongst the residents of Navadvip. That is why the exemplary preacher, Lord Gaurasundar, engaged two great personalities who were fully absorbed in devotional service to preach among the communities of persons belonging to both faiths. Nityananda from a Brahmin family and Haridas Thakur from a Muslim family. Realizing that people of the Aryan culture and the Yavan culture would not listen to each other, the qualification for chanting the name of Hari was given to both to make it known that both have an equal right to engage in devotional service. This is a famous verse. Lots of times when in Kirtan, like in Nagar Sankirtan and like that, lots of times they'll sing this in the middle of the Kirtan, like these instructions of Mahāprabhu. So like on Navadvip Parikrama, we'll do Mahamantra Hare Krishna Hare, and then you go Shuno Shuno Nityānanda, Shuno Haridāsa, Sarvatra Amar Agya Koroho Prakash. Listen, Nityānanda, listen, Haridāsa, go out and preach my order everywhere. Haribol, Nari Hari Prabhu, and Bhavatarani Mataji. I was wondering where you were. And also Shubhananda Prabhu. I wonder where Shubhananda Prabhu is. Okay, Satya Mataji is writing the Greeks. So Navadvip that was filled with the Shakas, the Greeks, and somebody else. But that's Alexander the Great. Okay. Okay, then yes. Okay, so Shuno Shuno Nityānanda, Shuno Haridāsa. Listen, listen, Nityānanda, listen, Haridāsa. Sarvatra Amar Agya Koroho Prakash. Everywhere. My order, spread it all over. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Lord's order is meant for everyone. Those who are outside Varnashram, those who follow Varnashram, and those who are beyond Varnashram. All living entities, all plants, the animate and the inanimate. Individually and collectively, according to their ability, all should accept Mahaprabhu's orders. Haribol Sudevi Didi. Prati ghare ghare giya koro e bikha. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, koro Krishna shiksha. Go to every house and beg in this way. Bolo Krishna, chant the names of Krishna. Bhajo Krishna, worship Krishna. Koro Krishna shiksha, follow Krishna's instructions. Gaudiya Bhashya. Yeah, so these are nice verses to memorize. If you're doing Nagar Sankirtan, you can sing this. Gaudiya Bhashya. A bhikshuk is dependent on the donor. Therefore, Knowing that the bhikshuk means the beggar, the mendicant beggar. So knowing that the bhikshuk is situated on a lower platform, the higher placed donor becomes compassionate on him. To beg for someone's favor is called bhiksha. The higher placed donor comes down from his platform and he uplifts the needy bhikshuk. Realizing that when Nityananda Prabhu, the Lord of the 14 worlds, and Namacharya, the grandfather of everyone and the best of the pure devotees, would go begging alms in the dress of bhikshuks, wealthy people would have no alms suitable to offer them. What are you going to offer to Lord Brahma and um and Nityananda Prabhu, the Lord of the 14 worlds? But anyways, so they would have no alms suitable to offer them. Gaurasundar employed the act of begging alms to bring those people to the transcendental kingdom. So even though the people who are giving alms to them, they thought that they were doing them the favor, is actually reversed, even though they didn't realize it. They were the ones getting the huge donation from Nityananda Prabhu and Namacharya Haridāsa Thakur. The phrase Bolo Kṛṣṇa is explained as follows. Words that are not related to Krishna are more or less products of avidvad rudhi, or the conventional meanings of words according to persons who are not enlightened. When a word's vidvad rudhi, or conventional meaning according to enlightened persons, is realized, it indicates Krishna, and such meanings are non-different from Krishna. One who chants the names of Krishna benefits his audience, and after achieving his own auspiciousness, he merges in the ocean of ecstasy due to remembrance of the Lord. When words indicate objects not related to Krishna, then the conditioned souls forget their constitutional position and consider themselves the enjoyers. At that time, the senses turn from the service of Hrishikesh and lord it over Hrishikesh's external energy. The Lord's instruction, chant the name of Krishna, Bolo Kṛṣṇa, is the prime example of the Lord's magnanimity. The name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. Only Krishna in the form of Guru can teach this. Only somebody who's realized that the name and the Lord, the possessor of the name are not different, can actually really impart it, can really teach it. Becoming initiated into this teaching and eagerly preaching such teachings is service to Śrī Caitanya. In order to make this known, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu and Śrī Namacharya Haridāsa followed the order of the Lord. One who knows Śrī Nityananda Prabhu as the origin of Guru Tattva, Akhanda Guru Tattva, and who after being freed from the bondage of material existence chants Krishna's names, which appeared in the form of address from the mouth of Śrī Namacharya Haridāsa, that person will be delivered from all material obstacles and attain Krishna Prem, which is the goal of all living entities. Through Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Gaurasundar has imparted the qualification for chanting the name of Krishna to every human being. One who awards this qualification cannot be anyone other than Krishna. One who awards this qualification cannot be anyone other than Krishna. Because if one does not possess something, how can he give it to others? The name and the person are non-different. Therefore, as soon as the holy names are chanted, love of Krishna is guaranteed. Only Krishna can say this. Since Krishna Prem is unattainable for persons who are absorbed in thoughts of objects not related to Krishna, the vibration of words that are not meant for the glorification of Krishna results in material bondage. Let the people of the world engage in glorifying Krishna. Although this order was given to the original Sri Jagadgurudev and Sri Namacharya, the original Jagadgurudev is Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Namacharya, since these two acharyas carried out this order of the Lord, all pious persons who follow this order will also certainly become qualified to act as acharyas, who alone are able to fully engage in the service of Śrī Caitanya. In the language of a bhikshuk, Bolo Kṛṣṇa, chant the name of Krishna, indicates the deliverance of the living entities. Yeah, Kishore is making a point. You can give love as alms. Yes. When this is received by a listener, he follows the order of Chaitanya Dev, becomes freed from material conceptions, and acts as an acharya, who is a manifestation of the Lord. Defeating the concept of only one Jagadguru, the exalted spiritual masters who are manifestations of Guru Tattva engage in delivering the living entities. Hari Bol, Hari Priya Didi. The phrase Bhaja, so that was an explanation of Bolo Krishna. Now we come to Bhaja Krishna. The phrase Bhaja Krishna is explained as follows. Śrī Caitanya-dev ordered the two preachers to appeal to the conditioned souls to engage in the worship of Krishna. Since the living entities who are averse to Krishna are attracted to objects that are not related to Krishna, they take shelter of the enjoyment propensity with a desire to become the controller of those relatively inferior objects. Therefore, giving up the worship of Krishna, they consider sense enjoyment as the goal and desire to become the master of that. They think everything around me, this is all meant for my enjoyment. Like my computer screen, my phone, this delicious food, all it's meant for me to enjoy. I'm lording it over these objects. But such activities are impediments in their worship. Persons who are averse to the worship of Krishna have various qualifications in this world. In order to achieve those qualifications, the living entity gives up the worship of Krishna and engages in the service of the 6 enemies headed by lust and anger. And in this way, he invites inauspiciousness by thinking himself the enjoyer of this manifest world. For the benefit of the living entities, the most magnanimous Śrī Vishvambar ordered the 2 Prabhus, Śrī Nitānanda and Haridāsa, to preach the concept of worshipping Krishna under the shelter of the holy name. Okay, so that was Bhajo Krishna. Now we come to the 3rd instruction. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, and now Koro Krishna Shiksha. This is explained as follows. Krishna alone is the object of learning. When self-realized persons see spiritual variegatedness after realizing the meaning of Kartaram Isham Purusham Brahma Yonim, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is the source of the Supreme Brahman. So once they realize the meaning of those words, that the Supreme Lord is the source of the Supreme Brahman, they understand the insignificance of knowledge that is not related to Krishna. Krishna alone attracts all objects of this world. His beauty is extraordinary and incomparable. He is full of knowledge. Only he is capable of dictating that objects not related to him are fit to be renounced. He is averse to enjoy any object other than his devotees. By the influence of Krishna Shiksha, the living entities realize that they are eternal. Such instructions destroy all nescience and ignorance of the living entities. And on the strength of Krishna Shiksha, there is no opportunity for unhappiness resulting from proximity with objects not related to Krishna. By obtaining Krishna Shiksha, all perfection is achieved. The mirror of one's mind is cleansed. The blazing forest fire of material existence is extinguished. The supreme goal of life is achieved. And one realizes that Krishna Shiksha is the purport of all education. When this state is achieved by a living entity, he cannot be contaminated. Rather, he becomes purified and attains supreme happiness at every moment. That was pretty much the translation of Chaitanya Marjanam verse. Krishna Shiksha is the giver of all opulence that deride all other processes for achieving the goal of life and the bestower of the highest platform of all sweetness. Krishna Shiksha is the destroyer of the living entity's enjoying propensity and the belittler of liberation. Therefore, Krishna Shiksha is most necessary for all living entities who desire their own benefit. Ihabai arna boliba, Ihabai arna boliba balai. Oops, it's broken at the wrong spot. It's like, what's badin? Okay. Ihabai arna boliba bolaiba. Dina avasha diva avasane asi amare kohiba. There's something in Bengali, also in Hindi, there's verbs and there are causative verbs. So like um like in Bengali, bhuja would mean bhoja no bhuja would mean to know, to understand, and bhujano means to explain, to make somebody else understand. And so here also boliba and bolaiba. So to speak or to have others speak. Whenever lots of times there's a long A in the middle. You understand, okay, that's a causative. Okay. Apart from this, you should not speak or have others speak anything else. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. Dina avasane asi amare kahiba. It'd be really nice to learn. I don't know that verse, but yeah. So let's see the instructions of Mahāprabhu because these are famous and they're nice to memorize. Shuno shuno Nityananda, shuno Haridas, sarvatra amar agya, koroho prakash. Prati ghare, prati ghare ghare gia, koro e bikha, bolo Kṛṣṇa, bhajo Kṛṣṇa, koro Kṛṣṇa shikha. Then um then iha boy ar na boliba bolaiba, dina avasane asi amare kohiba. Okay, Gaudiya Bhashya. At the end of the day, come and give me your report. Gaudiya Bhashya. To chant the holy names of Kṛṣṇa, to serve Kṛṣṇa by engaging in kirtan, and to become educated in Kṛṣṇa Shiksha by being inclined to service. These are the only duties of the living entities. You should not beg anyone for anything other than to engage in these activities, and you should not teach anyone any other subject. For the benefit of all living entities, you should throughout the day beg for the alms that I have described to you, and in the evening you should report to me. I will be greatly pleased if I know that you are trying to benefit all living entities. This is my mission. You are like my right and left hands. Tomra korile biksha, je na bolibo, tobe ami chakra haste sabare katibo. I will take up my chakra and cut off the heads of those who will not chant after being requested by you. Gaudiya Bhashya. I will destroy that person who becomes inimical to your request for alms. I will destroy that person who becomes inimical to your request for alms by giving him unlimited misery. Many people contemplate as follows. Being most merciful, why has the Lord created the cruel misfortunes in this world? The verse Tatenu Kampam, and it gives the whole verse here for a reference, is the appropriate answer to this question. Okay, so let's see, what's the verse Tatenu Kampam? I'm not going to read the Sanskrit because this is just added in. Okay. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, that person is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Okay, so what was the question? Since the Lord's most merciful, so why has he created the cruel misfortunes of this world? Well, this verse is the answer to that question. If a living entity who is averse to Kṛṣṇa spends his days in material endeavors, then in accordance with the laws of the material world, he will achieve miseries for a cessation of his material existence. Agya shuni hase sab Vaishnava mandal Anyatha korite agya kar ache bol. Ampal. On hearing the order, all the Vaishnavas laughed. Who has the power to transgress his order? Heno agya jahan Nityānanda shire bohe, ite apratita jar she subuddhi nahe. His order is such that even Nityananda carries it on his head. Anyone who does not believe this is not very intelligent. Koroye Advaita Seva Chaitanya Namane, Advaita Tahare Singhari Be Bhalo Mane. If one serves Advaita but does not accept Chaitanya, then Advaita will destroy him without remorse. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those mortal beings who give up Sri Chaitanya's path of devotional service and place their faith in Advaita Prabhu's bewildering materialistic Mayavad philosophy will be destroyed when Advaita Prabhu invokes his form as Rudra. The followers of Sri Chaitanya become situated on the path of devotional service after realizing their constitutional position as infinitesimal sparks of the Supreme Spirit. And the impersonalists who are averse to Chaitanya become eager to reject the Lord's service, being bound in Sri Advaita Prabhu's network of illusion. Fortune is the controller of one's auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. The reason for this is that conditioned souls who are whimsical due to misuse of their independence achieve aversion to the Lord's service, while proper use of their independence makes them eligible to approach the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa. Agya shire kori Nityānanda Haridāsa, totokone cholilen pothe asihas. Accepting the Lord's order on their heads, Nityānanda and Haridāsa smiled and immediately went out on the street. Kishore Prabhu, is the sound faint for you? Like, is the volume really low?
It's
Yeah,
all right.
anyways,
It's okay for
okay,
me, but it just got better when the microphone moved.
okay, I'll speak right into it. um, okay. Accepting the Lord's order on their heads, Nityananda and Haridāsa smiled and immediately went out on the streets. Agya pai dui jane bule ghare ghare, bolo Krishna gao Krishna bajaho Krishna re. Being ordered by the Lord, the two went door to door and requested everyone, chant the name of Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna, and engage in the worship of Krishna. Bolo Krishna, Gao Krishna, Bojoho Krishna Re. Krishna Prana, Krishna Dana, Krishna Se Jivan. Heno Krishna Bolo Bhai, Hoy Ekaman. Krishna is your life. Krishna is your wealth. Krishna is your very life and soul. Oh, brothers, chant the name of that Krishna with full attention. Gaudiya Bhashya. Krishna alone is the original living force. Inclination towards him is a symptom of a Krishna conscious life. Living entities who are averse to Krishna are devoid of life. Objects that are not related to Krishna are worthless. Krishna alone bestows all perfection. Aversion to Krishna is proof of one's material conditioning and lifelessness. Objects that are not related to Krishna are decorated by the prowess of the illusory energy. Therefore, the grammatical literatures that instruct one to vibrate topics that are not related to Krishna do not bestow unalloyed and ultimate auspiciousness on the living entities. Krishna alone is supremely worshipable. Therefore, glorification of Krishna is the only authorized path. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-13, it is stated, just as aquatics always desire to remain in the vast mass of water, all conditioned living entities naturally desire to remain in the vast existence of the Supreme Lord. E mata nadiyai prati ghare ghare, buliya bedana dui jagat ishware. In this way, the two controllers of the universe went to every house as they wandered throughout Nadia. Gaudiya Bhashya. Śrī Nityananda Prabhu and Śrī Namacharya Haridas Thakur are both controllers of the universe. Mahavishnu and Brahma, they're controllers of the universe. The people of this world accept wrong paths and fall into calamities. These two lords provide auspiciousness to such misguided people by becoming their guides, protecting the living entities from prajalpa and engaging their speech in the service of the Lord. The expert guide Thakur Haridas helps them control their sinful minds and invites the favorable flow of thoughts in order to protect their bodily limbs from the aversion to worship of Krishna. And thus he delivers them from their bodily hardships. And Lord Nityananda, he removes the unhappiness of this world and merges the living entities in eternal bliss. Nitya, eternal, Ananda, bliss, Nityananda. What do they both do? Haridas Thakur helps them control their sinful minds, and he helps them invites the favorable flow of thoughts in order to protect their body and limbs from aversion to the worship of Krishna. So he delivers them from their bodily hardships. And then Nityananda removes unhappiness and he merges them in Nityananda, in eternal bliss. Dohana sannyasi vesh jana jar ghare jan jar ghare ate vyate asi bikha nimantrana kore Nityananda Haridāsa bole e bikha bolo Krishna bhajo Krishna koro Krishna shikha bolo Krishna bhajo Krishna koro Krishna shikha. Both were dressed as sannyasis. At every house they went, they were eagerly invited to take their meal. Nityananda and Haridas would then say, "Our only request is that you chant the names of Krishna, you worship Krishna, and you follow the teachings of Krishna." Gaudiya Bhashya. Śrī Nityananda Prabhu and Thakur Haridas were dressed as sannyasis. The dress of a sannyasi or the garb of a renunciate is the dress of a bhikshuk. When they were eagerly invited to take a meal wherever they went, they did not accept anything. Rather, as ordered by the Lord, they simply requested everyone to chant the names of Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow the instructions of Krishna. Haribol Vidilala Sadidi. E bolo boli dui jana choli jai, je hoi sujana she boro sukha pai. After speaking in this way, the two departed. Those who were pious became most pleased. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word sujan refers to the devotees of the Lord. Those who desire superior status and who take shelter of the ascending path, they are called brahmanas. The brahmanas take shelter of the aroha panta, the ascending path. And that means ascending path means that you depend on your own strength, your own abilities to elevate yourself, your own efforts. And those who realize that, so the Brahmins are on the ascending path, and those who realize the insignificance of the ascending path, and as a result, become tolerant like a tree by giving up the desire for various coveted material objects while accepting the mood of being lower than a straw in the street and realizing the uselessness of the honor of self-respect by offering respect to everyone, they are called sujans. Persons who are inclined towards Krishna are sujans, while bhikshus who are attached to opulences that are not related to Krishna are Brahmins desirous of material enjoyment or liberation. Any Brahmin who is engaged in the service of the Lord is called a sujan. One who is not engaged in such service is known as a mayavadi durjan rather than a sujan. That is why the scriptures, that's in the Padma Puran, describe the sujans as follows. Shvapakam iva niksheta loke vipram avaishnavam vaishnavo varnabhyopi punati bhuvanatrayam. If a person is born in a Brahmin family, if a person in a Brahmin family is a Vaishnav, is a non-devotee, then one should not see his face, exactly as one should not look upon the face of a chandal or a dog eater. However, a Vaishnav found in Varnas other than Brahman, can purify all the three worlds. Inclination towards Kṛṣṇa is a source of all good manners in this world. Persons who are decorated with good manners obtain transcendental happiness by engaging in the service of Kṛṣṇa. Aparupa shuni loka dujanar mukhe, nana jane nana katha, kohe nana sukhe. Hearing the unprecedented words from the mouths of those two, various people found varieties of pleasure while discussing various related topics. Gaudiya Bhasha. The word aparup means wonderful, unheard of, or the form of beauty that has defeated all others. Koribo koribo keho boloe santoshe, keho bole dui janak shipta mantra doshe. So some happily said, Koribo, Koribo, we will do, we will do, we will chant the name of Krishna, we will follow Krishna's instructions, we will worship Krishna. But others said, these two are crazy because of bad advice. Gaudiya Bhashya. Being pleased by the instructive appeal, the Sujans agreed to follow the request, whereas some unfortunate people considered that that Nityānanda and Haridāsa were under the influence of madness. The phrase mantra doshe means faulty consoling, consoling or counseling. I think it's supposed to be counseling, faulty counseling or advice. As a result of distorting the actual meaning of good counsel, one obtains inauspiciousness. Yeah, you used the wrong word. Okay. Tomra pagal hoila dushta shanga doshe, ama saba pagal korite ashi kishe. You have become mad on account of bad association. Why have you come here to make us mad? Bhavya sabya lok shab hoilo pagal, nimai pandita nashta korilo shakal. Many sober and civilized persons have become mad in this way. Nimai Pandit has spoiled them all. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Bhavya Sabhya means peaceful, sober, gentle, pious, aristocratic, or qualified to sit in an assembly. So, Nimai Pandit has spoiled all of these peaceful, sober, gentle, pious, aristocratic people. Jai Gula Chaitanya Nritte na pailo dvar, tar badi gele matra bole maro maro. Maro, maro! Beat him, beat him. As soon as the two went to the houses of those who were not allowed to see Lord Chaitanya's dancing, those people said, Maro, Maro, beat them, beat them. Gaudiya Bhashya. Whenever the two preachers went to the houses of those who were not allowed to enter Shivasa's house while Śrī Caitanya-dev was dancing and singing, those people attacked the two with harsh words. Some of them even attempted to beat them. While following the order of Śrī Caitanya-dev, the preachers of Śrī Caitanya Math face similar behavior even today. Oh my God! And I was just recently, I went to Padmanabha Maharaj's room for lunch, and I was sitting there with Bhopadev Prabhu, and he was telling all sorts of stories of like really intense stories that he'd go through. I'm sure Nri Hari Prabhu and Pavatarani Mataji, yeah, they've also shared some stories of the adversity that the devotees had to face in the preaching. But it wasn't just it. This is Nityananda Prabhu and Haridāsa had to face the same kind of hardships. The creator of the universe and the Lord of the universe, all the universes, they had to face the same exact kind of yeah thing. So this should give any kind of preacher all the enthusiasm that they need to continue on. Okay, now Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, he's going to tell us an example. He said, a former doctor of Shalda, the Society of Caste Goswamis, the community of pseudo-renunciates, the Saki Bekis, and 12 other unauthorized Mayavadi Sampradayas are prime examples of such people. The kinds of people who try to create disturbance for the devotees, try to attack the devotees. Keho bole e dujana ki ba chor char chala kori charchiya bulaye ghare ghar. Someone said, perhaps these two are the spies of a thief. They are wandering door to door on the pretext of preaching. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase chor char refers to the spies of a thief. They are spies who secretly collect information and give it to their leader. They hide their actual purpose and collect information from door to door. E mata prakata kene koribe sujane, arbar ase jadi loibo deyane. Why would a Sujan act in that way? If they come again, we will take them to the king. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word deyane derives from the Persian word divan, means royal assembly, religious board, court, house of justice, or durbar. If they were good people, why would they wander from door to door and speak useless words? If they come again, we will have them arrested and sent to the religious board. Shuni shuni Nityānanda Haridāsa hase, Chaitanya agya bole na pai torase. On hearing such talk, Nityānanda and Haridāsa laughed. That's how you, so whenever in the service of the Lord, if anybody's yelling at you or whatever, then we just remember Nityananda and Haridāsa. They just laughed. On the strength of Lord Chaitanya's order, they were not frightened. E mata ghare ghare buliya buliya, pratidin vishwambar sthane kohe giya. It's actually a nice verse to memorize for preachers. They can just remember this verse every time that they go through any hardship. Yes. Shuni shuni Nityānanda Haridāsa hase, Chaitanya agya bole na pai torase. I like that. I'm going to share that. Okay. E mate ghare ghare buliya buliya pratidin vishwambar sthane kohe giya. In this way, the two daily wandered from door to door and then reported to Vishwambar at the end of the day. Ekadina pate dekhe dui matowala, Mahadasyu prai dui madhyapa vishala. One day, they saw two drunkards on the street. The two were fully intoxicated and acted like great rogues. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Vishala Madhyap refers to a person who drinks excessively. Madhyap means drunkard, and Vishala means like Vishal is like extensive, like great, yeah, extreme. No, Vishal usually means like She dui janar katha kohite apar, tara nahi kore heno papa nahi ar. There were unlimited stories about the two, for there was no sin that they had not committed. Tar nahi kore, that not done, heno papa nahi ar. There was no such there's no such sin that they had not committed. Apar means endless, endless stories. Brahmana hoya madhya gomangsha bakhan, daka churi paragriha dahe sarvakhan. Although they were brahmanas, they were always engaged in drinking wine, eating beef, plundering others' wealth, and burning others' houses. Paragriha dahe. Paragriha, others' houses, dahe, burning. God, that's Isn't there like written in Shastra there are three I think there are three things that were anyways, never mind. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Dakachuri means stealing or robbing. The word dahe means to burn. Deyane na de dekha bolaya kotalo madhya mangsha bina ar nahi jai kal. They avoided royal punishment and the notices of the town authorities. They did not pass a day without wine and meat. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word kotalo derived from the Sanskrit word kotapala. The common Bengali word is kotalo, and the Persian word kotawalo. So that means mayor, protector of the town, constable, guard, or watchman. They always avoid the city mayor or magistrate's notice and stay away from the royal servants and members of the religious boards. The peacekeeper orders offenders to appear before him, but they always avoid him. Dui jana pate pori gori jai, jahare je pai she tahare kilai. The two would roll on the street and they would punch anyone they met. My God, they'd punch anybody they met. Dure taki loksha pate dekhe ranga, she khane Nityānanda Haridāsa sanga. As people watched these incidents from a distance, Nityananda and Haridas arrived there. Khane dui jane prita khane dhare chule, chakar bakar shabda ucha kori bole. Sometimes the two displayed affection for each other, and sometimes they pulled each other's hair while cursing. Wait, what's chakar and bakar? Shabda ucha kori bole. They pulled each other's hair while cursing. No, dhore chule that's pulling hair. But what's chakar and bakar? I guess that's like cursing at each other. Yeah, that is cursing. Chakar bakar shabda ucha kori bole. That's interesting. Okay. Gaudiya Bhashya. Jagāi and Mādhāi sometimes displayed friendship for each other. Sometimes they displayed enmity by pulling each other's hair. They would address each other with various obscene words. Cha ba. It sounds like a brotherly love. Nadiar viprer korilo jatinash, madhyer vikhepe kare koroye ashvas. Sometimes they ruined the caste of the Brahmins of Nadia, and sometimes, under the influence of wine, they would speak solacing words to someone. Gaudiya Bhashya. Sometimes, under the influence of intoxication, the two drunkards tried to spoil the caste of the Brahmanas. One moment they would speak humbly, and the next moment they would flaunt their strength. Under the influence of wine, a human being loses his common sense. Therefore, being devoid of the concept of good and bad, it is natural to sometimes engage in flattery and sometimes speak harshly. Sarva papa she duir, sharire janmilo, Vaishnaver ninda pap, shabe na hoilo. Every type of sin became manifest in the bodies of those two, except the sin of blaspheming Vaishnavas. So sarva pap, all kinds of sin was manifest in their bodies, except Vaishnaver ninda pap, shabe na hoilo. But they've never blasphemed a Vaishnav. Gaudiya Bhashya. So far, they had not committed any aparad or offense by attacking Vaishnav devotees of the Lord. They had committed only sins. As soon as one blasphemes the Vaishnavs, all his good qualities are vanquished, and offense takes shelter in him. Ahar nisha madhya per shange range thake, Nahilo Vaishnava Ninda E Sabapake. They happily spent their days and nights in the company of other drunkards. Therefore, they had no opportunity to blaspheme the Vaishnavas. Jai Sabhai Vaishnaver Ninda Matra Hoy, Sarva Dharma Takile O Tabu Hoy Koi. The assembly in which Vaishnavas are blasphemed will be ruined, even if all other religious principles are observed. This is an important verse. Let's reread it. Jai Sabhai Vaishnaver Ninda Matra Hoy, Sarva Dharma Takile O Tabu Hoy Koi. So, Jai Sabhai, in that assembly, Vaishnaver Ninda Matra Hoy, where there's even just some criticism of Vaishnavas, Vaishnav Ninda, where that happens, Hoy, then Sarva Dharma Takile O, even though, Takile O means even though there's all dharma, all religiousness, all religiosity, everything's super pious in every way, but even despite that, tabu hoi koi. Then, tabu means then, hoi koi. Hoi is like is, koi, destroyed. Everything is destroyed. Ruined. Sannyasi sabhai jadi hoi ninda karma, madhya sabha hoite, she sabha dharma, she sabha adharma. Wow. If an assembly of sannyasis indulges in blasphemy, then that assembly is more sinful than an assembly of drunkards. Let's go to this verse also. Okay, so sannyasi sabhai. So in an assembly of sannyasis, jadi, if hoy ninda karma, if there is ninda karma, there is criticism, there is in blasphemy, such blasphemy of Vaishnavas, then madhya sabha hoite. Hoite means then, like more than, it's comparing this. So even more than Madhya Sabha, an assembly of drunkards, She Sabha Adharma. That assembly of the sannyasis is adharma, is impious, is sinful. Gaudiya Bhashya. Even though they normal in every other respect, Sarva Dharma is all religiousness is being observed. But nope, they became even more sinful than an assembly of drunkards. Gaudiya Bhashya. If the topmost community that abstains from worldly good and evil activities that belongs to the highest ashram of the best sampradaya engages in blasphemy of the Vaishnavas, then it is to be understood that such a community is more sinful than a sinful community of drunkards. Madhyaper nishkriti achaye kono kale, para charchaker gati nahe kabu bhale. A drunkard will be delivered in due course of time, but one who engages in blasphemy will never attain the goal of life. Gaudiya Bhashya. People who drink wine become crazy and engage in sinful activities. Until they give up such bad habits, they continue to engage in sinful activities. If by chance their thirst for drinking wine is checked, they will not further engage in sinful activities. But persons who blaspheme others can never achieve any auspiciousness. In the scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:28:1, it is stated, Para swabhava karmani na prasangshen na garhayit vishvam eka makam pashyam prakritya purushena cha. One should neither praise nor criticize the condition, nature, and activities of other persons. Rather, one should see this world as simply the combination of material nature and enjoying souls, all based on the one absolute truth. One should carefully consider his own auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. Rather than doing so, those who nourish their sinful propensities by remaining busy in activities like blaspheming others can never achieve any benefit. Their propensity for hating others is called envy. Unless one becomes non-envious, one cannot retire from material inauspiciousness. Those who are busy talking about others can never bring about their own benefit. Since people who are engaged in blaspheming others have no time for their own benefit, they cannot rush towards auspiciousness. Shastra poriya okaro karo buddhi nash. Nityananda ninda kore hobe sarva nash. Even after studying the scriptures, many persons lose their intelligence and bring about their utter ruin by blaspheming Nityananda. Gaudiya Bhashya. Even after studying the scriptures, many people lose their intelligence because they fail to accept the beneficial instructions of the scriptures. It is their nature to remain inattentive to the purport of the scriptures because they constantly engage in blaspheming others. Those who blaspheme the origin of all spiritual masters, Jagadguru Nityananda, by finding faults in his activities, certainly invite inauspiciousness. That is why verses like Drishtai Sabhava Janatar and Apichetsu Duracharo have incarnated. Those who, due to narrow-mindedness, find faults in the spiritual master, they can never achieve any benefit from Śrī Gurudev. Their concept is that since Śrī Gurudev has fallen into inauspiciousness, it is their duty to deliver him. Such a concept brings about their ruination. And here are the two verses that he's quoting. That is why verses like Drishtai Swabhava Janatar, these two verses have incarnated. Why? Because those who blaspheme the origin of all spiritual masters, Jagadguru Nityananda, by finding fault in his activities, certainly invite inauspiciousness. That's why these verses have been given. So this is 6th verse of Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also explains that it's their nature also. Swabhav dosh and vapu dosh. So swabhav dosh means like they might seem to get angry all of a sudden, and they might seem to have even like their natures might seem to be harsh in some circumstances. But still, according to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganga, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganga water does not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganga without considering the condition of the water. And now this famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 30. It's often misused, but yeah. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. And the next verse says that he'll very quickly be cleansed of this of impurity. Right? Like that. Okay. Doi jane kila kili. Oh, okay. Haribol Satya Mataji. Haribol. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Dui jane kila kili gola gali kore. Haribol. Haribol. Dui jane kila kili gola gala gali kore. Nityānanda Haridāsa deke thaki dure. The two punched and abused each other as Nityānanda and Haridāsa watched from a distance. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Dui jane refers to Jagāi and Mādhāi. Lokastane Nityānanda jigyase apane kon jati dui jan heno mati kene. Nityananda personally asked some people, he said, to which caste do these two belong? Why do they act like that? Loko bole goshai, brahmana dui jan, Divya Pita Mata Mahakulete Utpanna. The people replied, O Goshai, these two are Brahmins. Their virtuous father and mother both come from respectable families. Gaudiya Bhashya. Another reading of the second line of this verse is Divya Pita Mata Maha Kulete Utpanna. Their father and mother's father both come from high-class families. In reply to Nityananda Prabhu's question, the local people said, these two were born in a Brahmin family, and their ancestors on their father's and mother's sides are respected by all. Sarvakala Nadiyai Purushe Purushe Tilar Dekho Dosh Nahi E Donhar Vangshe. Their ancestors have all lived in Nadia, and were all free from the slightest fault. Gaudiya Bhashya. Their ancestors were residents of Nadia, and no one ever attributed any faults to them. Those who say that sons and grandsons inherit the nature of their parents see a contradiction in this case. The idea that consciousness comes from matter is not correct. One should realize that consciousness is separate from matter, yet has somehow or other come in contact with matter. One's nature is not determined just by one's birth, but it's determined by the quality of his activities. The ingredients of the gross body are never the source of consciousness. When the life air leaves one's body, the gross body remains. We cannot respect the premise that the soul has by chance taken birth from matter. Rather, the consideration that one must enjoy the results of his activities is predominant. The gross body is the effect, not the cause. Mhm. I added some words there. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that, but I think that's the point that's being made here. Is that, yeah. Okay. E dui gunavanta pasarilo dharma, janma hoite e mata koro e papa karma. These two qualified persons, they gave up their religiosity and have been engaged in such sinful activities since birth. Chari logo shtite boro durjana dekhiya, madhya shange bule swatantra hoya. Considering that they were most sinful, their relatives rejected them. Now they freely wander about with other drunkards. E dui dekhi shab nadiya darai, pache karo kon dina vasati porai. When the residents of Nadia see these two, they fear that the two may someday burn their house. Heno papa nahi jaha na kore dui jan, daka churi madhya mangsha koro e bhojan. There is no sin that these two have not committed. They plunder, steal, drink wine, and eat meat. Gaudiya Bhashya. There was no end to Jagāi and Mādhāi's sinful activities. Since reckless activities like plunder, violence, cruelty, and intoxication were prominently seen in them, they were qualified to commit all kinds of sinful activities. Some people said, since the soul is separate from its perverted form, it is not responsible for the activities committed by that perverted form, even when the opposite of morality and purified activities, such as eating proper foods, is found. Actually, only living entities who have forgotten their constitutional position enjoy the result of such misconceptions and the inauspiciousness born of excessive attachment. Okay, so now we are ending with this verse here. Shuni Nityānanda boro karuna hriday, duyer udhar chinte hoya sadoy, duyer udhar chinte hoya sadoy. After hearing this, the kind-hearted Nityananda mercifully contemplated how to deliver the two. Wow, that's how merciful Nityananda is. If most most people hearing about how terrible these people were, burning other people's houses and stealing and engaging they would think, oh my God, what terrible people. But Nityananda, when he hears this, his heart starts to melt for them. His heart fills with compassion, great compassion. He had a great Boro Koruna Hridaya. He had a greatly merciful, compassionate heart. And he started to think, Udar, how will I deliver them? Okay, so now I'm just going to read a few verse translations, not the verses, of what we're going to read tomorrow. Just a preview of tomorrow's reading. Nityananda thought, the Lord has incarnated to deliver the sinful. Where will he find such sinners as these? Oh my God, this purport was crazy. I remember reading it before. Yeah. It's like some of the craziest things I've ever read. Anyways, that the Lord secretly manifests himself. People who do not see his influence make fun of him. If the Lord bestows his mercy on these two, then the whole world will know his glories. If I can reveal Lord Chaitanya to them, then I, Nityananda, will be known as Lord Chaitanya's servants, as Lord Chaitanya's servant. Sorry. Now they are fully intoxicated and do not know themselves. If only they could become intoxicated like this under the influence of Krishna's names. Now they're intoxicated by wine, by alcohol and wine, but if they could become intoxicated by Krishna's names, that would be a whole other thing. If the two cry as they say, "Oh my Lord," then my wandering will be successful. If persons who previously took bath in the Ganga with their clothes on, when they just touch the shadow of these two, when they consider themselves purified as having taken bath in the Ganges by seeing them, then my name will be remembered. These people who before people would want to take bath if they just even touch their shadow, but he wants to make them so that even when they see them, they'll feel like they've taken bath in the Ganga. If I can manage to do this, then my name will be remembered. The glories of Śrī Nityananda Prabhu are unlimited. He has incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. After contemplating in this way, the Lord said to Haridas, "O Haridas, look at their miserable condition. Although they are Brahmins, their behavior is most abominable. These two will not be able to avoid the punishment of Yamaraj. When you were beat practically to death by the Yavanas, you thought about even their welfare. You even thought about their welfare when they were trying to kill you. If you think about the welfare of these two, then they will certainly be delivered. The Lord never neglects to fulfill your desire. This truth was personally disclosed by the Lord. Let the entire world see Lord Chaitanya's influence when he delivers these two. Just as the Puranas sing about the deliverance of Ajamil, now let the three worlds directly see such pastimes." Haridas knew well the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, he could understand that the two were already delivered. They're already delivered. When Nityananda wants them to be delivered, they're delivered. Haridas Prabhu said, "Listen, O Mahashai, your desire is certainly the Lord's desire. If you deceive me just as one deceives an animal, and in this sight you deceive me just as one deceives an animal, and in this way you repeatedly teach me." Lord Nityananda smiled and embraced Haridas. He then softly spoke as follows: "Let us go and inform these two drunkards of the Lord's order that we are carrying around. The Lord's order is for everyone to worship Krishna, but this is especially meant for the most sinful. Our responsibility is simply to repeat the Lord's order. If people do not follow, that is his responsibility, not our responsibility. It's the Lord's responsibility." Then Nityananda and Haridas went to inform the two of the Lord's order. Saintly people there prohibited them, saying, "Don't go near them. If they catch you, you will lose your lives. They will kill you. We hide inside the house and tremble. How can you dare to approach them? Those two have no respect for sannyasis. They have killed unlimited Brahmins and cows." Nevertheless, the two Prabhus chanted the name of Krishna and joyfully went before the two. They came only close enough to be heard, and then loudly informs them of the Lord's order. "Say Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the names of Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is your life and wealth." Krishna has incarnated for your benefit. Therefore, give up all sinful activities and worship Krishna. Wow, that's a long purport. On hearing their call, the two turned their heads and their eyes became red with anger. After lifting their heads and seeing the forms of the sannyasis, the two ran towards them, shouting, catch them, Dharo, Dharo. Nityananda and Haridāsa quickly ran away as the two rogues chased them, shouting, stop, stop. Abusing them with harsh words, they chased behind the two Prabhus, who ran away out of fear. People said, we warned them before. Now those two sannyasis are in danger. All the atheists smiled and thought, Lord Narayan has given proper punishment to those impostors. The Pamas Brahmin said, save them, Krishna, save them, Krishna. And then they left that place in fear. The two rogues chased behind as the two lords ran away. Although the rogues declared that they caught them, they were unable. Nityananda said, we thought it would be good to turn them into Vaishnavas, but we will be lucky if we survive today. Haridāsa said, oh Lord, what can I say? Today, I will die prematurely because of your ideas. Because you have tried to give Krishna's instructions to drunkards, we have received proper punishment, almost losing our lives. Speaking in this way, the two lords laughed as they ran away. The two rogues chased after them while shouting abusive words. The two drunkards had fat bodies, so they could hardly walk, yet somehow they ran swiftly. The two rogues said, oh, brothers, where will you go? How will you escape Jagāi and Mādhāi today? You do not know that Jagāi and Mādhāi live here. Wait a moment and see who's behind you. Hearing their words, the two lords ran in fear as they called out, save us, Krishna, hey Govinda. Haridāsa said, I cannot go further. Why did I knowingly come with this restless person? Krishna just saved me from the wrath of the Yavanas. And now today, I'll lose my life due to your mischievous nature, Nityananda. Nityananda said, I am not a restless person. Think carefully. It is your Lord who is agitated. Although he is a Brahmin, he gives orders like a king. On his instruction, we preach door to door. He gives orders that we have never heard before, and as a result, people call us thieves and hypocrites. If we disobey his order, we'll be ruined. And if we follow his order, this is the result. You do not admit your Lord's fault. Although we both spoke to them, you accuse me of being at fault. In this way, the two Prabhus engaged in blissful quarrels as they watched the two rogues chasing them become confused. They ran towards the Lord's house while the two rogues rolled on the ground, being intoxicated by wine. Unable to see the two Prabhus, the drunkards gave up the chase and eventually began to push and shove each other. Being intoxicated with wine, the two could not remember a thing about where they were before and where they were now. After a while, the two Prabhus looked back and could not see where the two rogues had gone. The two felt pacified and embraced each other. They laughed and went to see Vishwambar. The lotus-eyed Mahaprabhu was sitting. Anyways, okay, so that's what we're going to read tomorrow. It's so much fun. Sorry, I couldn't stop reading. It was so much fun. Okay, I'll just end with Mahamantra and then Shloka do Jayadwani. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Jaya Gaura Nitāi, Gaura Nitāi, Gaura Nitāi, Jaya Gaura Nitāi. Thakur Haridāsa, Thakur Haridāsa, Haridāsa, Thakur Haridāsa. Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Jai Gurudeva. Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitāi Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitāi Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitāi Gaur, Hari Bol. Kishore Prabhu,
Joy Nitāi.
Jai Nitāi,
Jai Haridāsa Thakur.
Jai Haridāsa Thakur.
जय सुब्रकार शिशु गुरु गौरंग गण हर विकार गिरिधरि रार विनोद बिहरि रार नायनाथ राध रमन बिहरि रार माधव शिष्य राधा कृष्ण चंद्र जीव की जय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जीव की जय। जय नत्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद परमहंस व्रजचारि वर्यस्तो दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्ति विज्ञान भारती गोस्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालय प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद परमहंस व्रजचारि वर्यस्तो दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज परिपावन श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यालय प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्ति बल तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालय प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालय प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्तिवेदांत त्रिविक्रम गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शर भक्ति स्वरूप दामोदर महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शर गौरकुंद स्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शर भक्ति वैभाव पुरी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शर भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शर भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शिशुमान भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शिशुमान भक्ति द्वैता मार्ग गोस्वामी परम गुरु महाराज की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शिशुमान भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज परम गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शिशुमान जगुर गुरु श्री वर्षभाना विद्वैतदास शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। स्वापरिकार श्रील प्रभुपाद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद महापरम भगवत प्रभात परमहंस स्तोत्र शिशुमान गौर किशोर दास बाबूजी महाशय की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद सप्तम गोस्वामी स्तोत्र शिशुमान सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर महाशय की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सर्वभौम अष्टोत्र शिशुमान जगन्नाथ बाबूजी महाशय की जय। सूर्य कुंडवासी सिद्ध शिल मरुसुंदास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री उद्वदास उदराम दास की जय। गुरुविनान आचार्य शिशिल बलदेव विभूषण प्रभु की जय। महामोह बरदयाय रसिक शिरोमणि शिल विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर पाद की जय। शिल रसिकानंद मुरारी प्रभु की जय। श्री शिल रामचंद्र कविराज की जय। जय श्री लोचन दास ठाकुर की जय। श्री नरहरि शंकर ठाकुर की जय। जय शिल नरोत्तम श्रीनिवास श्यामानंद प्रभु त्राय की जय। शिल कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। यशवतार अरिकावेशल वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। श्री अष्टक विराज सुरजानव नित्यानंद जोरश गोपाल श्री चौषति महंत की जय। जय श्री जगदानंद माधवानंद की जय। जय श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ सर्गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर रमानंद लोकनाथ गर्भ आदि गौर परिषार वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। शिल ईश्वर पुरी गोस्वामी पाद की जय। शिल माधवेंद्र पुरी गोस्वामी पाद की जय। जय श्री अंतर्द्वीप मायापुर सुमनद्वीप गौतम द्वीप मध्य द्वीप कौलद्वीप ऋतुद्वीप जानुद्वीप मातृद्वीप रुद्रद्वीप मात्मका श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप सुरभि कुंज की जय। जय श्री एक चक्र धाम की जय। जय श्री शांतिपुर धाम की जय। जय श्री गौर चंद्र भगवान की जय। जय श्री गौर नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। जय श्री गौर हरिदास की जय। जय श्री श्री गौर गदाधर जीव की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्णा गोपीनाथ गोपी कपा गौ गिर गोवर्धन द्वारशत वनाथ माक श्री ब्रज मंडल धाम की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गंगा सखियाम सखी तुलसी भक्ति देव की जय। वृषभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा रानी ठाकुरानी की जय। श्री ललिता विशाख चित्र चंपकलता Tunga Vidya Induleka Rangadevi Sudevi Adi Sakhi Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Ananga Prema Manjalali Shiru Balamanga Ragvila Subhanarati Kasturi Kamala Nayanamani Hari Manjari Vrinda ki jai. Jai Srimati Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhagavati Purnamas Yogamaya Devi ki jai. Jai Shri Gopishwar Sarshi Mahadev ki jai. जय राधा परंकित धाम श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। जय श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथ प्रिय पुरुषो जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र नीलमाधव जी की जय। जय श्री तत्व विनाथ की जय। जय श्री सरबकूल की जय। जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर समाधि मंदिर की जय। जय श्री प्रभुपाद आविर्भाव स्थली की जय। जय श्री दामोदर गौरीमान की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथपुरी पुरुषोत्तम क्षत्र मंडल नीलाचल धाम की जय। जय सर्वा विघ्नविनाशन करे भक्त विघ्नविनाश श्री नृसिंह देव की जय। जय भक्तराज भक्त बरबर श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। जय श्री प्रहलाद लक्ष्मेंद्र सिंह देव की जय। जय श्री चरिधाम चरि संप्रदाय चरि आचार्य की जय। जय श्री मध्वा रमनुजा विष्णु स्वामी निम्बदित्याचार्य की जय। जय कर्मत्रा श्री चैतन्य मात की जय। श्री गौरीमार वृंद की जय। जय ग्रंथराज श्री मार भगवताम भगवद गीता चैतन्य चरितामृत चैतन्य भागवत जैव धर्म आदि सर्व गौरी वैष्णव ग्रंथ वृंद की जय। जय त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय। जय त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन धर्म की जय। जय कलकेर प्रेम धान श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय त्रिभुवन मंगल धन्य कलयुग दरग ब्रह्म श्री हरि कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम मन मनाम हरे हरे महामंत्र की जय। जय श्री अनंतपुरी वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जय श्री समकट गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय परम ब्रह्मन परमासत जय परम ब्रह्मन परमासत एवं परमेश्वर पति पावन प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम स्वयं भगवान जगन्नाथ मिश्र नंदन गौर सुंदर हर प्राणनाथ श्री विश्वम्बर मिश्र निमाय पंडित श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य चंद्र महाप्रभु की जय। जय परमा दयाल परमा करुणामय आदि गुरु अखंड गुरु जगत गुरुदेव गौरीश्वर श्री श्रीमान नित्यानंद स्वरूप महाजान की जय। श्री नित्यानंद बलराम प्रभु की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर महाशय की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर महाशय की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर महाशय की जय। जय श्री जगदानंद मरमनानंद की जय। जय श्री जगाय मदाय की जय। जय श्री चैतन्य भगवत की जय। जय श्री वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री प्रभुपाद भक्ति स्वामी सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री प्रभुपाद गौरी वश्य की जय। जय श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। ओम वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः। वंशाकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय निताय।
Dandavat pranams, everybody. Let's see. Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, Krishna Mai Didi. Dandavat pranams to all of you. And also to everybody on YouTube and Facebook, Ganga Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Sudevi Didi, Hari Priya Didi, and a bunch of other devotees, Vidya Lalasa Didi. And yeah, a lot of people joined today. But I only acknowledge the people who write comments because I can only see your names, those of you who write comments. So Dandavat pranams, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, today was this is one of the highlights of all of Caitanya-bhāgavata. This is like one of the main chapters, one of the most important chapters, I think.
Good. I love this one. It brings a lot of memories. I was in the streets in the early 70s and late 60s, and the reaction of the people, some were really drunk. It was pretty violent. Others, it was just funny moments where we were chased, and by the police or like that. And our escape, and we were laughing, how we reunite at the temple after our adventures. But yeah, at one point we had the communists wanted to beat us up. We had to escape one time. That was pretty serious. They want to really harm us. They had like 2x4s, and they have 4x4, sticks or whatever, but wooden pieces. And on the other end, we had the police that we thought they were like just some crazy hippies that, people do, conjecture all kinds of things about us. But one time we were, many times actually, Hanuman, he was a sannyas that opened the temple because he was a foreigner. We always protected him. So, because if he was gone, we didn't even have Bhagavad Gita yet. We only had like 2 or 3 little books. And so we always figured out I will be the front man to talk to the authorities. So I would always get arrested, and then they would let me go. One time they didn't. But so with police in one end, the communists on the other end, and then the drunkards sometimes. One time we were all lined up. We walk and then we stop in places where there was no doors, no windows, and but out of the side, right next to us, I guess it was a bar. We didn't notice, and this man came out with a bottle, really thick bottle. It was about to smash my sister's head, and Hanuman just flew out of nowhere and punched the guy really well in the face, and he went out flying and fell on the ground. And in the meantime, there was about 50, maybe 20 people watching us and hearing the mantra, and they all applauded Hanuman, because this is, so we had those 2 opposite reactions to the Harinam. It wasn't like book distribution. Like later on, we're running in the malls, we were running from, or the airport, we were running from security, try to distribute the books. But this was about the mantra, and we had like quite a lot of different reactions to it. Mostly it was favorable, but one time we went to this little town, and we spent there all day, and it was fabulous. People were following us like 100. They wanted to know so much, and we were talking. And I tell you, it's like it was almost like biblical, because going out with the power that Prabhupada gave us, we were fearless, and also words were put in our mouths in a way. I mean, I tell you, we're able to preach very nicely, and there were so many
You're
parallels.
like being acted, like Srila Prabhupada is acting through you, right? Like you were just like whatever instruments, and
yes,
you wouldn't know where the words are coming from. They're just coming out of your mouth, right?
Yes, it was just like fabulous, and all day was like that, and people liked us, and we're going through town, and one end there was a park, and then at the other end of the town there was another park, and that's as far as we went. And then there was just like, the town was ending. So we had a brahmachari. He was a little more shy, and he had a bag. We were collecting. Actually, we were doing pretty well, collecting and distributing the books and collecting. But we were in our robes and shaved head, and we did Harinam, and then we stop and distribute books and like that. So this gang came, the town's gang, and they were very territorial about the thing. And so they grabbed his bag, and the brahmachari started screaming. So Hanuman went and wrestled the bag, but then there were just too many of them. So we were started to say, well, let's go back to the train station. Let's go back to the store. So Hanuman went in one of the stores, tried to ask them to call the police, or nobody did anything. And I was holding the mridanga and some other books, and this guy, one of the gang members, came and punched my face, and but I didn't feel it. It was kind of fun. But behind me, my first wife, Ahadasi, was from San Diego, Irish Cherokee mix. She came out with a cartel swinging, and he got 2 of the guys and knocked them down on the floor. All the rest of them, their eyes were like open, like yours, to back off. and they took some distance between us, and so then we took that opportunity to go to the train station, and slowly just like walk back, and they were afraid of us at the end. So and this was a small town, and when we go back to the capital, the next few days the word spread that we were some forced to watch. We weren't just this little peace and love little hippies. We were like, they say they know kung fu. Yeah. So the parallels, the things you need to distinguish is that when Vaishnavas are at risk, if you everybody, I mean, like Ahadasi was just like jumped and swing the cartels and knocked everybody out, or or Hanuman punching this guy, and like that. So devotees can defend themselves and can be, the principle of Trinarani is Sunichana, it's not applicable, but I mean, it is applicable, but it's just that these are demons, so we have to make a distinction. Of course, the Lord, I mean, showing this story is just so wonderful, but it's funny too. I mean, the transcendental arguments of Haridāsa.
I know, I love that part.
I love that.
Because of you, I'm gonna die, Nityananda.
I know.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So
one time the reactions were like amazing. One time they threw us all in jail, and then they threatened us to throw hot water on us if we weren't stopped chanting. And so we chanted more and loudly, and we started chanting Nishinga prayers, and then they looked at us and they back off. And this was like the chief of police and some of the principal policemen there, and then they just backed off from the bars, and they just turned around and left.
Wow. That's so awesome.
I tell you, it was like I don't know how maybe the early Christians felt about or something, although they have but we felt protected. Hanuman was a very good preacher, and he enthused devotees. He was very good, and so he said, "Oh, we were arrested before." He got arrested many times, and he actually was taken to the airport when he entered Colombia. Was the first devotee to preach in Colombia, first sannyas devotee, actually, Vaishnava. And the bishop sent a mandate to get rid of us. So Catholic Church was very afraid of the Vaishnavas, the devotees, actually. So he was put in an airplane to send out of the country.
Oh, wow, he's deported.
Yeah, and in Nicaragua, they took him to the murderers, the jail where the killers were, and he had them all chanting Hare Krishna.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
wow.
They left him there, and they saw he was renounced. He had nothing to fear, and he left. And the day after, there was an earthquake that killed everybody in the jail.
My God.
But with him, they were chanting the Harinam.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, there were some days, those days.
Not such a bad way to go. Chant Harinam and leave the next day. I mean,
no, isn't it? I mean, this is like great. They took, the advance to the next destination.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, thank you. Sorry to take the time, but I thought I'd tell you some stories because.
Yeah, no, it's very appropriate.
Relate.
Very, yeah, and yeah, you can see that. I think it's enthusing for other devotees also to hear stories like this. So whenever they go through any kind of adversity, when they're trying to preach the name, there's don't need to get so feel knocked down by it or anything like that.
Yeah, no, don't
gone through much worse, and the results, when you go through these different adversities and when you come through the other side of them, do you feel some special kind of mercy, like some special kind of connection with Krishna, like you feel like you're being looked after and you're being taken care of? Like, do you get some kind of special
yes, that most
connection
definitely. There were electrifying times. Then Hanuman told us too, he said, Prabhupada told him, make a million, spend a million. So we would collect all day, and we'd go out, Harinam chanting out of the temple, walking all the way towards downtown where it was most people. There was a couple of streets that were close to traffic, cars, and all the shops. It was like that. Where things were happening, and so we would use the money. I was the treasurer, temple commander, Sankirtan leader, and vice president. And so I had to get up pretty early and like that. But so I said, but okay, I said, save enough money to pay the rent and print more books. The rest Krishna will send. And we saw it. I mean, it was out of the blue. People like, one time we didn't have anything, really, no more. There was no money to buy anything, no boga. And then we heard somebody at the door, and they brought us a huge bag. I think it was maybe 50 pounds of farina. And that's all we had. So at that time, Hanuman came with a servant, Prakashananda Prabhu. He's gone now. He's passed away from Mexico. And he was wonderful, but not to criticize him. His worst quality was a cook, to be a good. So
Yes.
he just couldn't get it together until we got Ahadasi, and we were like, okay, my God. But it didn't matter to us, because I tell you, the spirit of the temple, just preaching and doing what Prabhupada wanted us to do, we felt so protected and so loved. And so, yeah, we had halava for maybe 4 days for breakfast, different ways of halava, salty, not salty, grits, and, farina is, or semolina is, I think somebody was asking, what is that? As is what you make halava with. We what do you call it, semolina, or
Semolina, yeah.
Kishore was
Suji,
wondering.
indeed. Yeah.
Suji, yeah, like that. So yeah, we felt in both ways how the Lord protected us when we were following the instructions of Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and so Hanuman was demonstrating to us, no, don't worry. I mean, Krishna will give us, will protect us. So yeah, we had a little austerity. I mean, one day no boga, and everybody was young. We were like 18 to 20, hungry guys, Not too many of us, but and then there was there were 3 girls. Everybody was so young. Yeah, but we're on fire.
Jai ho. Thank you so much for sharing all that, Prabhu.
You're very welcome. Very well.
All right, so we will continue. We will read we will go through, I already read what we're going to read about tomorrow. Like, I read all the translations, but we will hear it all in depth, and Srila Saraswati Thakur's commentary to all of it. And look forward to seeing you all for that. Jai Shri Gaura Nitāi ki Jai. Haribol. Haribol, everybody. Dandavat pranams.